Welcome into part two of the PGA Championship Preview. Gary Williams alongside Taylor Zarzour, Brendon Young, and Wagner. We talk about our favorites. We talk about the winners, long shot stars who are going to miss the cut. So much coming up in our PGA Championship part two.
In this split second, your hands make all the difference. It was time for a grip to help them own the moment. Introducing Reverse Taper, technology to stabilize both hands for a more square putter face at impact. The most important split second in golf. Reverse Taper, only from Golf Pride. Respect the grip.
Let's get back to some guys here. The Rahm thing. I thought you were around him. I was in his presser on Tuesday of the Masters. I just felt a sense of discomfort, like it was awkward coming back, and it wasn't just merely a celebration. It was a lot of almost like an inquisition. And I felt like he was defensive from the moment he walked in the press room on Tuesday about, like, if you don't think you're not going to be asked about the decision you made, you're being naive. And I didn't think that the questions were that pointed. And I thought the whole week was not, he wasn't vibing, he wasn't jiving. Is he in a better place no matter what the results have been since, going to Valhalla and getting away from the dynamics of Augusta National?
Hasn't won on LIV.
No.
He's been competitive, but he hasn't won out there. I think that he is, like all of us, disappointed that the game isn't unified. And I think that he thought him making this move was going to do that.
100%. I think he was of the feeling that as soon as he went over there, that was kind of going to be the domino that
That's
sent it.
naive.
Well, he said that in his press conference.
Yeah, I feel like he thought, I'm going over there, I'm a big enough name that I'm going to unify this game. And it hasn't, and he's disappointed. And yeah, he's disappointed in his decision.
I think, though, Gary, that he thought, and I think a lot of us thought, that could have at least led to, okay, we're going to work this out by X date, and a year or 2 years from now, we're going to be able to all come together. And that hasn't happened. And I think in the months that followed, he realizes that he may never, well, I don't know that never is a strong word. I think that he realizes it may be a long time before he ever plays in Phoenix, Arizona again, or in San Diego, California, or in heritage events that he cares so deeply about. And he cares about the history of the game. He's a very thoughtful person.
Sure.
He's extremely competitive. And I think that what you saw was a little disappointment that he's not going to be able to do this on a recurring basis for a while.
He can also be a moody person, which is not uncommon for most of us. But I don't think he's ever self-defeating when he's on the golf course. I think he gets over it. You can look at the idea of bounce back and all that stuff. Like, I don't think he wallows in self-pity, but I think he can be in bad places as far as his headspace. And I thought he was in a bad place at Augusta National. Are you bullish on him at Valhalla?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I think he was in a really bad headspace at Augusta. And in that Tuesday press conference, I felt like he was really talking out of both sides of his mouth. It was, I miss playing Waste Management. I miss playing Kapalua and Torrey Pines and Amex, where I've won twice. But you know what? I really like team golf too, and I'm really having fun over there playing team golf. It means a lot to me, and I think he's being muzzled to an extent, and I think he is not happy with his decision because he's realizing that he wasn't as big of a deal as he was. I think he's mad and upset, and I don't really care, because he made the decision to go. It was worth it to him. It was best for his family to go, and I'm over it with him. Sorry.
Not feeling him at Valhalla?
I agree with what Johnson's saying to a point. He certainly was not very concise with his points at Augusta. He was talking out of both sides of his mouth. I'm still bullish on him.
He was defensive.
He was
very defensive.
But I'm still bullish on him. I think this guy is that good. I think he is an unbelievable talent.
Oh,
I
no
think
doubt.
anytime this guy tees it up, he's going to be one of the favorites.
How about you?
I'm
with
not.
him?
I'm not picking him.
No. But I mean,
yeah, no. But he's.
We'll get to your pick.
I don't. I think that I need to see him do something that shows me that he's ready to win a major championship. There's only one guy on LIV that I don't need to do that with. And
We'll
I think we're getting to him next. Yeah. But as for everyone else in the world, not just LIV, but in general, you'd like to see some form as they play themselves into a major.
It's making choices. When we make 1,000 of them every day, it's a ton of money. But I think that there is an element of remorse, whether it's because he thought unification was going to come right away, or it's what it is that feeds him when it comes to his job, which is I do value history, and I do pay attention to what people have done before me, and I'm turned on by it. And he's doing something right now that has a frivolity to it that is everything but that. Like the earnestness of the pursuit of a 72-hole championship and earning a late tee time on Sunday. Instead, he's searing Deep Purple while he's teeing off on the 14th hole. You love the Deep Purple reference?
Good reference, yeah.
I don't know if they play that. I don't know what their playlist is.
I don't think they play Deep Purple.
Not in Australia.
Well, they should be. They should be. I think
right
that he's having some buyer's remorse.
I don't feel sorry for him.
No,
to Johnson's
it's not about
point,
that.
like I don't feel sorry for him, but in the same respect, I do.
He's missing his job that he used to have.
Yeah, and so is Bryson DeChambeau. As he listens, thinking, you know what, unity's the best thing for the game, and a Friday or Saturday press conference at Augusta. Like, you're the one that busted it up.
Right.
You don't have the right to sit there and talk to me about unity of the game when you're the one that made the decision to go and bust the whole thing up. I don't have the time to hear it. I'm not going to say anything nice about somebody that says it, that wants to have their cake and eat it too. It's bullshit.
Okay.
It's really frustrating too. Is people that do this for a living, that watch all these other people that started something else and did it in the way that they did it.
Yeah.
That created so much friction and created so much division and created the difficult position we are in right now to say, look at us, look at how we're working, and how come you won't embrace us? You're the ones that started the fight, and it is. It is a really difficult time. I think you can see it on my face. It is not fulfilling to be part of what's going on currently in golf.
I listen to your show every morning on my way to a meeting, and I've heard it in your voice for well over a year.
I want it to end. I mean, Jon Rahm may say he wants it to end, but I truly want it to end.
Well, and I was flying back last night from New Orleans, and there was this guy. I was sitting here watching the end of the golf, having a cold beer, and this guy's like, Hey, I recognize you. What's going on with the game of golf? I thought the PGA Tour and LIV were getting back together." And I'm so sick of answering that question. And I just said, look, there are a lot of details. There's a lot of people at the PGA Tour that are pissed off, and it's not just that easy to allow these guys right back in with with no penalty, and how many are actually eligible to still be playing. There's a lot of details to work out, and for the people that burned it down to say unification is the best with no ideas on how to do it, it's like I'm over it.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's a great point. I think people need to hear people like that say that.
I would have added to his query, it's not the game of golf. You're talking about the sport of men's professional golf. The game of golf, look at rounds year over year, month over month. The game of golf is flying. This television show you're talking about is dealing with a lot of turbulence. There's an enormous difference. All right, Koepka. Koepka did not fire at Augusta National. I thought he would. I look at some of these guys. I brought the whole Masters leaderboard here with me to get your thoughts on some of these guys. Koepka did not have a week. What about Valhalla?
I still have more confidence in him when he hasn't shown me anything than I do just about anybody else. But I wouldn't say that I'm as fired up to pick him to defend or have a chance to defend as maybe I was this time last year. I think the further we go down the line with this, the less inclined you are to hold yourself accountable when you've made the amount of money he's made and you're playing in a league that doesn't feel as competitive as the tour that you were on before. So I'm not as confident as I was, but he is somebody that can go and show you nothing for 3 months, and then all of a sudden have a chance to win a tournament.
I think one thing about something you just touched on, I think will be examined historically is like competition and competitiveness and drive and desire when all this guaranteed money has been introduced to the game, and what it's done in lines of demarcation from what somebody did before this all happened and then what they did after. And someone that I'm going to point out as an example of that when we talk about some of these other guys at the end, he had 4 over par rounds at Augusta National. Koepka, he got off to an average start, and average starts at Augusta, you're out of the draft, you're out of the tournament, man. It just doesn't happen. So 73, 73, 76, 75, flat as can be, tied for 45th. You, sir, were the one who stood up last year and went, he's winning this damn thing. How about this year?
Not as bullish. I agree with Taylor. He's the one guy that I don't need to see previous form when majors come around. I will still say that he's going to be in the mix. It was a weird Augusta week. You could have got caught in some weird spots with some weather, some wind and stuff. I would throw that week out for him. I wouldn't look at that form and say, hang on a second, we can't.
He was late in the afternoon on Friday to that point.
We can't look at that closely and say Brooks has got no chance just from Augusta week. I would love to have seen more. I haven't watched any LIV. I don't know what his results have been like there on LIV. But I will say that he is going to be in the mix come Sunday.
Okay, so
He's had 2 top 10s on LIV this year.
Okay, you throw out the major, you throw out the Masters. His last 3 major starts, tied for 17th at the U.S. Open at L.A., tied for 64th at the Open Championship, and now a tie for 45th at the Masters. Guy has been living in the top 10. We were talking about Rory's major championship resume. Koepka, 39 major championship starts, 18 top 10s, 14 top 5s. He's won the PGA 3 times. Let's say he does win it. A 4-time PGA champion. That's pretty strong. Very strong.
I mean, yes. Who would he be up there? Did Jack even win it 4 times?
Jack won it 5 times.
And Tiger won it 4 times.
And Walter Hagen.
And Hagen, 5.
Yeah, I mean, so he's... Boom. Knowledge drop. I mean, he's already in the Hall of Fame. He's a legend. It's more, for me, with Koepka, looking at his world ranking stats today, he's played in the last 2 years. He's only played in 11 events that garner world ranking points. 8 majors, and he's only gone to play 3 events. One was in Oman, one was somewhere else. Like that's a problem to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know he's got his 14 or 28 LIV events that he's played the last couple of years, but I just not being able to stack up and measure yourself, it's becoming an issue. It's remarkable that he's still top 40 in the world, but I find that to be an issue, and I think that's what we're seeing as we get into this year 3 of LIV, is that these guys are just vanishing.
What's also interesting about year 3 is that some of these guys get closer to the end of exemptions based on performance in majors, including winning them.
Yeah, Bryson's getting there.
Yeah.
That's why he wants to come back to the PGA Tour so bad.
Yeah.
DJ, now he's got a couple that he can count on, but even the U.S. Open. I mean, the U.S. Open, they're cold-hearted, and I love it. That everybody else is kind of like the lifetime thing. The USGA is like 10 years and enjoy it.
Right.
And then you're going to be out there with a bag on your shoulder like Tom Kite playing a 36-hole sectional. Give me a LIV boy. Give me a LIV boy that you're kind of feeling a little bit.
I mean, I was feeling that way with Joaquin Niemann going into
So was I.
Going into
So were you.
So was
going
I.
into the Masters. Yep. I guess I'll go Cam Smith. He'd be my guy for the PGA, but I'm kind of like Brendon. I don't.
Cam Smith's 6th at the Masters.
I don't know.
Tied for 6th.
I don't really keep track with where everyone finishes in these tournaments. Number 1,
the LIV tournaments.
The LIV tournaments, and number 2, I don't know how much they matter, because I felt that way about Joaquin Niemann going into the Masters, and it didn't necessarily translate at the Masters. So I don't know if finishing well in those tournaments necessarily means you're going to play well in a major championship. The sense I get from afar is it's a very different feel for competition there than it is for a major.
Neiman tied for 22nd at Augusta. Decent start, shot 70, then 78, blew him out.
But I'll go Cam Smith. Cam
Yeah.
was good in the majors last year as the majors continued.
And coming off a big team win in Adelaide. All right, you got a... I mean, like Rory and Shane coming off a big team win. You got a live boy?
I'll go with Bryson. I hate saying it, but I'll go with Bryson. I took Johnson's pick, but I'll go with Bryson.
Even if I thought he'd be the best, I don't think I could pick him. Can I abstain?
Absolutely.
I'm going to abstain.
Abstinence is a healthy thing.
Can we do a
I can promise
podcast
you
at some
that.
point on COVID and Bryson trying to skip through COVID, through some of the COVID policies on the PGA Tour? I'd love to do that with Johnson.
You're not
at some
one of
point.
the 3-some-odd million people watching his videos he's posting on his YouTube channel?
I'm not. I wish him well. I don't have.
He may be reaching a new audience.
Yeah, I wish him well, but
Get on
I'm
the game.
not. Yeah. There you go.
Yes. All right. Let me ask you about. I too like Cam Smith among the live guys. Oberg, a bona fide in your mind top 3 favorite for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, again, a guy that is playing with such confidence. He has no demons. It's insane watching this guy's ball flight off the tee and into the green. I love the confidence he plays with and how quickly he plays the game. Joe Skovron hasn't moved the bag away by the time he's already hitting a shot to the green. If there's one reason not to say he's going to win the tournament, is I do need to see his short game improve a little bit. But yeah, I think I expect him to be right there.
What will be the greater caddy pivot historically, Joe Skovron or Ted Scott?
Steve Williams.
Yes. That's a good one. I mean, that's unbeatable.
Ted Scott was pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're not having to deal with Bubba all the time.
That's a good point.
Well, that I think we have a winner. Oberg, top 3 guy for you?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yes, 100%.
Every time this guy tees it up, I think he's going to win.
So we've gone from first major start being the narrative to absolutely he's a top 3 favorite. You liked him going into the Masters.
I liked him from the time I saw him tee it up last year.
Yeah.
At the John Deere, I think, was the first time I saw it. I think this guy is phenomenal, generational talent.
You were calling him a top 10 player kind
Yes.
of before he won RSM last year, which was very impressive.
Does anybody like being right more than him? He reposted his McIlroy Lowry pick to Instagram immediately.
That's why I quit following him on Instagram. Ludvig Aberg is the second most consistent player in professional golf behind Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and I know you've heard me say this multiple times. You probably have too, but I think it's worth mentioning. You know, the whole world ranking thing. He's only played now 27 events, and his number of points is divided by 40 because that's the minimum number. He hasn't even played the minimum number, and he's ranked, what, 5th in the world now? 6th?
I think 6th,
If you divide his points by how many events he's played, he is a 1.5 above Rory McIlroy as the number 2 player in the world. It's ridiculous what he's done, and it's not even, he hadn't even had a full year of professional golf, and he kind of turned me on to it last year about how good this guy was going to be, and he has exceeded. Yeah, I think you had said by the end of this year he'd be top 10 player in the world. I think it was by the end of last year he was darn near after he won RSM. It's shocking what he's done in a short period of time. And it just does not seem like there is any stage too big. So, I mean, I think if depending on what happens with Scotty's child, I think Ludvig may end up being the favorite going into the PGA.
He's got the perfect makeup for majors as well. Like everything's water off a duck's back, doesn't get too up, too down. Again, I expect this guy to be right in the mix.
He's sweet as Scheffler is what he is. I mean, the physical part of it, roughly the same height. He's much more orthodox. He doesn't have the type of lower body action that Scotty does, but in terms of he's an adult. He's a grown-up. He's not going through the clunky phase of, am I on Twitter? Am I not on Twitter? What's my brand? Guy is level as can be. And again, he is insistent on contending every week.
I love how much he enjoys playing in competition too, and just the fun he seems to be having with Scov while he's out there. It's fun to watch.
I would put him among my top 3. Jordan Spieth and the PGA. Let's go to his resident
Yes.
just mouthpiece.
I can't remember if it was a conversation having with you or with somebody, maybe not even in this
Somebody
room.
for sure.
But it's time for Jordan Spieth to find a new swing coach. And I think Cameron McCormick, they've had a nice run. And maybe it's just someone to go take a look. Rory McIlroy just went and saw Butch Harmon. It's time for Jordan to go get a different set of eyes. Not saying he can't come back to Cameron. I'm not saying Cameron's not a great coach, but what they're doing is not working. It's not coming in quick enough. It was one of the topics was Star to miss the cut, and I was in tears writing this name down. But
That had to pain you.
It was painful, like to not even have any.
Was it on the
hope.
flight last night
It
that you
was.
did this?
It was
How
on
many
the
cold ones had you had?
I was good last night. I had one beer and then I had one vodka on the plane, and it was right after the second vodka hit that
You wrote the name.
I got pretty emotional. And it's sad to not even think that it's a possibility for him to complete the career Grand Slam this year. But Valhalla's going to have thick rough, and it is not the right venue for Jordan Spieth.
Look, I know as somebody who does this, I appreciate your candor, your honesty. Not easy to call for somebody making a change. What essentially been a lifetime relationship. Colin Morikawa had to make that decision. With Rick Sussinghouse, and he immediately saw dividends.
Xander.
Yeah, Xander, same thing. Not easy. I ask you, Brendon, I look at Spieth as somebody who's spent a ton of time being like, God, I mean, there was something magical about the way he did it. And I've talked to like historic players. He had the magic, man.
Oh, yeah.
He had it. He had a paintbrush. I feel like he's using a wrench now. I feel like there's something about over-engineering that seems palpable to me. Do you feel like he's got too much technical thought?
Yeah, very much so. But that happens when you're struggling on the golf course, right? Everything looks difficult. Everything looks like you're really struggling to get to a final decision. And the artist kind of goes out and you start playing golf swing instead of golf. And that's kind of where Jordan is right now. And it's been hard to watch. Like I'm not a Johnson Jordan Spieth fan, but I liked watching the guy play golf. And it's hard to watch him. And to the point now where there's over commentary between him and Michael Grella. Like everything is overthought. And again, that's because of the difficulty that he's having on the golf course with his swing.
I wouldn't say this unless I had asked some questions to people close to Jordan. I don't think he trusts his wrist. I think that it's still not completely. He doesn't have peace of mind.
He had issues at Hilton Head with it,
and I think that's part of the issue. And when I had first heard that was still a consideration was a couple of months ago. So it was interesting to hear at Harbor Town that was something that he was still dealing with. But I think that in 2024, that's been in his head a little bit. So, yeah, I don't expect him. And like Brendon, I'm not at the Johnson's level, but I would love to have him in the fight. It'd be great for him.
Incredible.
It'd be incredible.
You see what it does to people.
Oh, my gosh. I'd hand up. I'm so glad I'm wrong if he was in the fight.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, and you're going to be bullish on him because you're inclined to be. I thought he was going to have a great 2024, and it's like this beginning of the year thing. Looked at Pinehurst and went, "Oh yeah, baby," with recovery, intuition, shots from native areas, missing a ton of greens, looking at those greens and going, "Yeah, I got this more than you do," and I'm not ready to sell it off completely. The risk thing is a legit concern. And I'm not feeling it either. And you mentioned another element. When you're not hitting fairways and the density of that rough with a compromised wrist to some degree, I think is an issue. Michael Block, you had him on your show recently. Michael Block it'll be celebrated. Will the charm be choked out of it?
Well, like what he did last year was incredible. And I don't fault him for taking every opportunity he had. And he deserved all the kudos he got. Now, Michael Block's got a big personality and maybe put his foot in his mouth a couple times, but I would have probably done the same thing. Yeah, I'm still doing it. I'm going to have to delete Cameron McCormick's contact out of my phone now. I'll never be able to talk to him again. But yeah, the question was, is it going to be annoying? And yes, it's going to be annoying.
Okay. Any guy who can parlay a top 15 at the PGA into a deal with Raising Cane's, I admire you.
Yeah.
Good chicken tendies.
I envy
So good.
you. I actually resent you, which is not a healthy thing.
God, I would love some right now.
Unbelievable.
Had some at the airport yesterday.
In
So
Tulsa
good.
at the PGA, I went there every night.
Yeah.
It's
Need to
fantastic.
bring it to Charlotte.
Is it going to be insufferable?
No, I think it's going to be a sideshow for a minute. He's going to go. He's going to miss the cut, and it's all going to be gone.
That's what I was going to say. Is
Okay.
it was an incredible achievement, and it was so fun to be connected to that last year. Working for ESPN's feature group coverage last year, we had Michael Block and Rory McIlroy on Sunday, and I was like, "Gosh, this is so much fun!" And to see what he did and the way that
Did you
everybody,
know he made a hole-in-one before he did?
I did. I watched it go in. Yeah. And from that tee, I could get why you didn't know that, but
Looking back into the sun too.
yeah. I'd be shocked if he recreated it this year.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
but no, it was a good story. Listen,
Of course it was a good
Yeah.
story, but I think that it doesn't mean it's not about golf. It's about everything. We figure out a way as a society to literally choke the charm out of everything that has a feel-good feel to it. It immediately becomes cringy. And I remember last year on Thursday, Van Pelt doing a walk and talk with him on the 14th hole. And I'm like, this is fun. This is great. Good for him. Give him the moment. And then he kept hanging around. It was a great story. And then it like a boomerang, it just came around so quickly. Look, he earned everything that he got. But if he makes the cut, that's extraordinary. Because he's going to get so much attention.
he's having his his 30-year high school reunion. They are coming to the golf course since he can't go to it. Like it's
As somebody who
it's a hard fade.
is the only guy here who I believe has had his 30-year high school reunion, that is accurate, correct? It's pretty
Almost.
good. It's pretty good. We've gotten beyond like 10. You're like, how much is he making? How much weight has she gained? At 20, you're kind of coming around. People have had kids. There's some compassion. By 30, you're
Wow.
like, my God, look at us. We're getting older. I genuinely loved you back
Do you
then,
wanna
and
throw
I
out
still
any
do.
names?
No, come on. Let's all be honest here. He's being honest.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's all be
listen,
honest.
you have-
30
I
was
want
a
you to have to delete numbers out of your phone.
30 was a great, I'm talking about 10, not 30. 30 was a very warm-hearted reunion. He'll have a great, I didn't realize they were coming to him. How did you know that? Where'd you get that intel?
He subbed for Johnson on an interview last week, and he told me.
Very good. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty here. All right. One last thing before we get to long shots and some contenders and a winner. This is ESPN's major. You just mentioned being on, feature group coverage for ESPN. ESPN has Thursday and Friday of Augusta National, but it's a CBS. Not that it's not still, from a technical standpoint, CBS's production, but the personnel coming on early, last putt hold, Van Pelt, steering the ship virtually the whole day. I'm not going to start with you because, and it's not to say that you're compromised. The ESPN major, that's what the PGA is. They made this choice. This was a bid between NBC and Golf Channel and ESPN. And Seth Waugh, under his leadership, chose ESPN, and that included the Junior League and the Championship. You're a part of that. Do you like the ESPN major that the PGA is?
I do. I really do. I think it was the one that they could pick up and it was going to make sense for them. I really do. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, and ESPN obviously has a broader audience than the Golf Channel,
Yeah.
and I think their streaming platform does a lot better than maybe my company's streaming platform. But
I love how you said my company.
I'm a company man.
Yeah, I know you are.
That being said, I think they took some chances with some of their streaming platforms last year that were a big miss for me, and maybe they weren't for me. And their early round coverage on one of the ESPN channels wasn't for me, but maybe people are watching. I'd like to see them, but I'm a traditionalist, and I don't know. I guess it's good to have all these different channels because everybody likes something.
Right, yeah, everyone to their own. Everyone's got want to see different things. I do. I like it.
Okay.
I am compromised, but I think his feedback is totally fair, by the way, for some of the risks that, and, the things that they tried. And I think they would admit that some of those didn't work, which is, which I appreciate somebody when they're candid about that. I think ESPN has a huge advantage in broadcasting this major, Gary, is they can prepare for it weeks in advance. And they take a lot of people that I work with during football season and they put them in management positions and to run this PGA Championship. And those people are so busy from August through January, and then they have a couple of months to think about broadcasting the PGA Championship. They're not doing what everyone that Johnson is hanging out with is doing, which is preparing for this tournament this week and preparing for the next tournament the next week, and so forth and so on, which is hard. It's really hard to do. CBS in the same situation. So I think that they are very thoughtful for how they produce the PGA Championship. I really like SVP and Duvall, and I love Johnny McGinnis on the golf course, and Billy Kratzert and the guys that they have there for a few days. Dave Fleming, Bob Wischusen. I think those guys do a good job for a couple of days, and I think that the way they think through this is, again, it's an advantage because they have months to consider it. But I love that they do the PGA Championship, and you could remove me from the equation, and I would still feel that way.
I know you would. Your company was my company, and when this decision was made, I was disappointed, but I totally got it. I got it in the grand scheme of where ESPN populates people's thoughts and minds about all sports. I thought it was, I totally understood the decision of them to put their digital product on ESPN Plus. I think golf is one of sports' great innings eaters. Again, and the other thing about ESPN that they've been very shrewd about is that while people thought that ABC/ESPN was divesting from golf, actually they were just adjusting themselves to allow other companies to provide the financial outlay for all the fiber. And then we come in here, and here we are on certain days with our personalities and our platform and our reach. I think it's been very effective. Look, Scott Van Pelt provides anybody who's right next to him. Chemistry is an invaluable thing when it comes to, when I watch things like I watch Shaquille O'Neal laughing his ass off at Charles Barkley trying to backpedal about going to Galveston, Texas.
Oh, so good.
Again, this is genius stuff. And the reason it is because they like each other. Scott Van Pelt is not only an easy listen, he's easy to be with. And when you sense that, when you're with somebody for 12 hours calling golf shots, I felt that way when they had the Open Championship for all those years. I think it's a wonderful week. I hate the fact that Sean McDonough is doing hockey, and he is a casualty because Sean is not only one of the great generational broadcasters of all time. He's funny as hell, and I wish he was a part of it.
It gives me tremendous pain to hear those compliments.
I
to
know
him.
that, but
And
you agree with me,
I do,
even though
but-
that he drinks you out of every White Claw in Mecklenburg County when he comes to town.
He's a maniac.
I think it's a really good. It's excellent.
No one needs compliments less in the world than Sean McDonough, and I love him.
Billis
but-
runs a close second.
Yes.
All right. So, last thing. All right. No. Let's
Long
get
shots.
to it. Let's get to it. Who's your long shot? We'll start here.
Does Mackenzie Hughes count as a long shot? Absolutely.
Yeah, sure he does.
Okay.
Sure he does.
He's been a top 25.
I tried to make him my long shot in the Masters, and he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's a tough one. He's been a top 25 machine for most of the year, and that would be my long shot for PGA.
Especially since hooking up with Mark Wood. I think it's been really good for Mackenzie getting his ball striking a little more consistent and letting that short game and putter bail him out when needed. And Valspar, he keeps trending in the right direction. That's an excellent pick.
Yeah. No, listen, I tried to play the card a month ago, and he didn't play his way into the field, and I looked like a jackass. All right, so who's your long shot?
Akshay Bhatia. I like how excited this guy is to play golf. He's talked about wanting to play major championships, win major championships. He's in them now. I like
I
Bhatia.
couldn't agree more. He's not going to be a long shot for long. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
He's
I
got the
agree with
goods,
that.
man.
I'm a little concerned with Akshay at the moment, and it was no fault of his own, but his caddy that he won Barracuda with left him to go to LIV, and then he had a fill-in that was Justin Suh's caddy that he won with at the Texas Open, and now he's got Keith Mitchell's longtime caddy John Lamani on the bag. So my only, he was going to be mine too. That's my only hesitation, is that he's kind of in the beginning of this caddy relationship.
But he won with a caddy from the first week.
Thank you that's a very good point.
Nobody
Very good point.
appreciates the caddy conversation. You and Kevin Ryan, your researcher, he loves that caddy conversation. Nobody, you guys know. I mean,
it's
you know,
a huge part of the deal.
It is. All these pieces a lot of them are moving constantly. So give me your long shot.
Steven Jaeger, trending in an incredible
Excellent
direction,
pick.
winning in Houston, beating Scotty Scheffler in the final group. And he, the guy's won 6 times on the Korn Ferry Tour, and finally getting that first win. He's been trending for 2 years. He's picked up a ton of distance in the last 2 seasons as well.
Crazy.
So
he's not scared of winning.
He's not scared of winning, and I think Steven's going to have a good
The only
PGA.
person that's beat Scotty Scheffler and Nelly Korda in the last couple of months.
It's true. It's true. And the fact is that Steven Jaeger did not shoot a low one and wait it out. He's out there with Scheffler in Houston, Texas.
Made
hitting
9 pars on the back nine.
Hitting bombs. And any guy who's repping the coupe, I got an affection
nice.
for him.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I look, he is, for him to make a transformation the way that he has is very impressive. We talk about Matthew Fitzpatrick, Matt doing similar things in terms of speed drills and gaining distance. Jaeger's a good one. Kentucky and Indiana are neighboring states, and Adam Schenk is my long shot. Another guy who I think is, in terms of ability to take advantage of par fives, this is a golf course that provides that opportunity. I like Adam Schenk.
Re-qualified for the Masters next year with his good play there.
Yeah, I like him. All right, give me a second level contender. It'll be interesting to see who we all define second level as.
Yeah, because what you have here in the rules are outside top 10 odds favorites.
That is correct,
so
sir.
that to me would be 11 to 30 in the world, kind of in
Technically speaking, yes.
Yeah, kind of in that range. And I'm really torn because there's 3 or 4 guys I was looking at here. I'm going Sepp Straka as my second level guy.
That's good. He's a power player, Ryder Cupper. Sepp is now, a 2-time winner on the tour with the John Deere and the Honda from a couple years ago. I like Sepp, and I'm glad you didn't take mine. Are you going to take mine?
I don't know. Cameron Young.
No, you're not.
That was one of my that I thought about.
Would be a great story. Hasn't been able to break through on the PGA Tour. Make your first win a major.
Number 12 in the world, Sahith Theegala.
Oh, okay. Well, you and I are riding together.
I did wonder if he might be top 10
No,
odds.
he's not.
Okay.
I just checked the odds before we started.
Okay, good. I like it.
So tell me why.
I think his creativity is incredible. Also, he's had 2 runner-ups in signature events this year. He finally got that first win at Fortinet last fall. I just think his short game and his creativity lends itself to playing well at major championship golf.
He's also another guy that I think the more people get to know him, they will love him.
Love.
He plays with so much energy
Yes.
on the golf course, and has a homemade swing. There's some quirky things about him that I think people will love.
I'm with you. I want everyone to be who they are.
Yeah.
I think that he is a little fidgety, and my God, he hits putts, and I'm going, okay, if that doesn't go in, it's going 7 feet by. I mean, he's like Ricky Fowler from 10 years ago in triplicate. I'm a huge fan. I'm with you. He has an infectious way about him, and I do believe he will be on the United States President's Cup team.
I mean, he's 12th, though. He may be on the United States Olympic team.
No, that too.
I mean,
I like him a lot.
I got a walk and talk with him. I got him committed on Friday, right after missing the cut in New Orleans. I got him to commit to do a walk and talk Tuesday, Wednesday of the PGA. So I'm homing for that one.
Wow,
A little bit too.
what can we have him recreate? That should have been a bullet. What historically would you have him recreate?
I would.
on a Tuesday night.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Try to walk it in.
You got to do a historical reference.
You got to do
my ACL or
You got to do
Achilles
the
doing
Bob
that.
May putt.
On 18?
The double breaker.
The double breaker. You got to do that. Yeah, the Tiger walk in on 16. You got to do that. Rory, they got to put you. Well, the live from's perfect in the pitch black dark. You got to try the tee shot
Over somebody's head.
over Brandel's head,
What about-
preferably, or Eamon. Yeah, and then the last thing you got to try, and I don't know that you can do this, but I want to see you try to drive the green on 13. Because nobody can
From
hit.
where?
But you
which
might move
tee?
up a tee or two.
Yeah, wrong guy to try and drive it.
I'm gonna stick to chipping and putting. Come on.
You didn't mention the one that I want him to do most.
What?
I want you to be the guy who's down in the reeds throwing Tiger's ball out on 18. One of the most mysterious bounce back ricochets of all time. YouTube it, everybody.
Okay.
Seriously, where did that ball come from?
Kathy
That ball
Jordan and
was-
Hale Irwin in the Ryder Cup. That would be another one.
That is, well, how about doing the come on, Sergio, let's go play another hole, Anthony Kim.
All right, come on, let's move
You
on.
don't have any of them?
No, I'm gonna be current this year, 2024 recreation.
Okay. I first of all, those have been such a home run.
I love it.
They're fantastic. All right, give me a star to miss the cut, starting with you.
We already talked about it.
No.
Spieth.
Yeah. Oof.
Hovland.
Hovland.
I think he's
The fact that
he's
we
an
are
absolute mess. He's
here,
a
we
mess.
are Hovland in Rome on the chip in on Friday. You're going, he's the dude, man. He's the dude. And now suddenly he's in the wilderness. We haven't even mentioned him.
Yeah,
He's a good one though, right?
All
To-
year.
All year.
That's a great call.
He's got to be thinking like, what the hell was I?
I'll tell you
doing?
what he's thinking too much.
Yeah.
His presser at the Masters, when he started taking it deep on thought and process and where he is, I'm going, okay, I love a curious mind, and he's a really delightful guy. Whew, there's a lot going on up there.
I'm going Jordan Spieth as well.
You are.
Yep.
I was thinking of two guys, both who we know by their initials. Justin Thomas, home game for him. Haven't thought about him.
Played
at
well
all.
at Harbour Town.
Yeah.
That was good to see. So I thought that's why I didn't pick that. I think we'll see him. PGA is his best major.
Yes, it has. You
D-
think he'll have a decent week?
I do.
Okay.
DJ was the other name I was
He's my
thinking
guy.
of. Yeah.
DJ's my, Dustin Johnson.
Is he still a star?
fair question.
Yeah, fair. He's got 24 wins.
I know, but where is it? I mean, like as far as his world ranking goes, that's not.
I
I don't
don't-
think that's
Right.
that's not a shocking pick of someone to miss the cut.
But
for me.
he and
Okay.
listen, he's
But I
been,
mean,
he's
he-
been
Yeah,
open
yeah.
about this. It's almost like he's in a mini retirement phase of his career, and I think he's been honest about
Bless
that.
you. Yeah. Okay. So if DJ is
Bless you.
fair to ask, is he a star still? He's a historical star. For him to shoot the numbers that he shot at Augusta National, are you closing the book on him? Ready to? Close to.
No, because golf form is such a fickle thing.
I get it.
I mean, you can go through years of being uncompetitive.
Complacency
and then
is
you
also a real thing.
Then if you have the talent that he possesses, then 6 years from now you could say, "Man, I want to really be good at golf again." And if he wants to be really good at golf again, he can be. So
Do you think he's-
150 large in the bank.
I'd be
think that-
surprised if he did that.
Do you think he's ever said that to himself though? I think
Yeah.
he's always gotten by with such raw natural ability
Yeah.
that
Sure.
he never really had to
I'm just
work.
not ready to close the book, though.
No, I agree with
Yeah.
you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's ever had that conversation. Like,
No, he hasn't. But things change, and you might wake up
Yeah.
one day and say, "Hang on a second, I need to work hard to get back to where I was."
The 2021 PGA Championship made me say, you know what, I'm never, ever going to close the book on somebody until they're 55, 60 years old.
I'll go back though to something you said earlier about what happens when things change, and the influx of money has fundamentally, I think, affected mindset of the human condition
Yep.
in a sport that was always built around it's the score in the box.
Yep.
And when you show up, and look, you make what you make, and I'm not begrudging it. I'm just saying that there are effects that happen, and having $150 million in your bank, you're going, really? Am I ready to find it in the dirt again?
Yeah.
6 years removed from that. You're right. Look, we talk about guys like
No, he's
Tom
not.
Watson. Tom Watson at 50 finished tied for 10th at Valhalla.
yeah, but Tom Watson, like he's like,
He's the ultimate grinder.
yes,
No, that's
and
right.
he plays a lot of golf when he's home, and like, I mean, I don't think Dustin
He is
has
the
the
king
same.
of meritocracy. He is the king of, I am going to earn what I earn.
Yes.
Totally. All right. So with that, winner.
Xander Schauffele.
You are on fire.
Look at all you guys. Look at all you guys.
Man.
Why? Why? Why is he going to do something he hasn't been able to do before?
Because he's the guy that's there.
Okay.
He's the guy that puts himself in position over and over and over, and he's going to cross that line at some point, and I want to be on him when he does.
Tell you what, too, he is pounding the ball.
Yeah.
Like he has picked up 4 miles an hour clubhead speed. He's a couple shots last week. What?
No,
He's laughing at me. He's laughing at me because he stole my pick.
You went
didn't
first
steal
on auto.
anything. We share around here.
He's hitting 189 mile an hour ball speed. That goes a long way. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Taylor.
no, I was just going to say, listen, I've always been a fan of Brendon's thoughts on golf, even when he wasn't a fan of his own thoughts on golf. And so I'm very excited that he picked Xander Schauffele. But it is the one major he's been less competitive in. I mean, he still has a good record, but than he is in the others. He's a top 10 machine in the others.
Yep.
But it's time. It's time. I really like what I've seen so far this year. He doesn't think of himself as a great player, which bothers me a little bit. I hear him. I've had conversations with him about this. He thinks he's a very good player. He doesn't think he's a great player yet. He thinks he needs to have that moment in order to be that. I would like him to believe that in order to achieve it. But I love everything about what I see with the golf game right now in 2024. I think in another good major performance, which we just saw, is a reason for that.
Yeah, when we talk about earmarking guys, he's going to win a major. He's going to win a major. Really? I mean, there's only so many of them. And we've done that for years and years and years with Ricky Fowler, and I never felt like Ricky had to win a major. If he does, great, and it wouldn't be unreasonable at all. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to look at him and go, God, he should have won. And he was obviously a really, really good player. Schauffele, to me, there does seem to be an inevitability to him winning at least a major because he has gotten himself into the deep end of the pool and into the blender a lot. The players, though, to me, was kind of a microcosm of him in these big moments. It's not an implosion. It's a slow burn. It's a soft bogey. It's the absence of something that doesn't allow him to get across the line.
I wish he had somebody like Johnson in his ear who was so good in those, still is, by the way, so good in those moments as a front runner. Like, you relished being in that role. You did, but when you had
Sanders
a chance,
won a ton of
no,
golf.
I know he
Way
has,
more
but
than
when
I
you had a
could.
chance to win, you had this level of swagger to you, and I wish that somebody would say to him, "Hey, man, you have everything. We're going to win this tournament. Do not let doubt creep into your mind."
It's because Johnson knew he wasn't going to get there very often. He better close the deal.
That's true. It's very true. Xander, at the Players' Championship, he had the right misses going on, kind of right in the middle of the swing changes he was making. I think the last couple times he's played, especially at the Masters, and last week even, his swing is coming around. And I'm going to put that Sunday, those few misses out to the right on 14. Then he missed it left on 15 and didn't get up and down. That was kind of the end of
How
his.
about the short miss on 17?
The short miss on 17 was concerning. It was.
Yeah.
It was. I just think that. I'm not picking Xander, but I think he's going to have a good chance.
Okay.
Who are you picking?
I'm debating between two players. They happen to be number 1 and 2 in the world, so I'm really going out on a limb here.
I'm begging you to pick number 2.
I am picking number 2. I'm picking Rory McIlroy.
Hell yes. Yes.
That would be
I
amazing
don't know
for the
that
game.
I don't know that the PGA Championship Radio postgame show can function. If that in fact happens from the cozy confines of South Charlotte.
Not Louisville, Kentucky.
I just think and Brendon kind of solidified it. I had them both written down here, but what Brendon said about the way he played with Shane Lowry and the joy that he played with, and then you talking about him coming to Wells Fargo, a place that he loves, the week before, I think he's going to go in there with a really clear head. And Gary, you've been making the point for the last couple of years that Rory's never going to win the Masters until he wins another major. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that, and you've been making that point too. I think that we're there. It's a comfortable place, and I think we're going to see it.
Yeah, boy, I got to be something. And I'm not trying to act like it would be unreasonable at all. He absolutely should be top of mind for everybody. because he's that good.
If you cheer for the game, if you want the game to do well, I don't think any of us expect Tiger to be in the mix. So anything short of that, that's the biggest story.
Is Tiger going to make
Jordan
another cut in the
Spieth,
major?
Career Grand Slam.
Yeah. Big
That would be
deal.
there. Yeah.
Big deal.
Is Tiger going to make another cut in the major?
I
Yes.
think, hold on, one thing about the Spieth thing. I think because the expectation is so low that we're not giving it the grandiosity of what it would be because we're not thinking it's plausible. Let me tell you something. If he goes into the weekend a shot out of the lead, that gets ignited immediately because, by the way, again, back to the ESPN major, you're not going to think that they're going to not rekindle a reminder to everybody that this is what's on the line for this guy, and he was a darling, and people have not forgotten that. I know it's dormant right now. It'll be lathered up if we get there.
And can you imagine me going out and recreating Jordan Spieth like wedges? I'll be sculling those things all over the place.
Did Tiger make another cut in the major?
This year?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, this one. Valhalla.
Is he even playing?
I think he will play. I'm less confident in him here than I am at Pinehurst or at Troon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. I think he will make the cut. I think he's going to grind his butt off to make the cut like he has been.
That's all he knows.
And then kind of going to fade away on the weekend as he gets more and more fatigued.
Okay.
I don't see him playing at Valhalla. I know I think he tees it up, plays a bad first round, withdraws after 3 holes round 2.
Okay, so he does play, but doesn't see
I kind of wish he wouldn't, to be honest. I'd rather him save himself, for the summer and have a shot at Pinehurst or at Troon. Nothing against PGA
Pinehurst has
Championship.
been good to him, man.
But I mean,
I know it was a lifetime ago.
Those aren't hard walks.
Valhalla's a hard walk.
Yes,
No. Pinehurst and Troon
Yeah.
compared. Yeah, and Valhalla is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't see why he would do it, but I think he'll probably be there.
I think he's going to be there, and the reason why I think he's going to be there is that I think
an announcement will
I
be
think
made?
an announcement is coming. He gave everybody an indication that this conversation's been continuing with the PGA of America and the Ryder Cup at Bethpage by answering a question in his Tuesday presser by not saying unequivocally, "I'm not doing it." He said, "After this, I will then get back with Seth and this conversation's continuing." I do not think that he says that out loud in front of international media assembled without knowing that this is far down the tracks. I think he's doing it.
Our friends are, as part of the SiriusXM team, our friends at the PGA of America were thrilled with that answer, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think they're confident that that's a good point. I didn't think of that. Maybe that's the reason to be there.
Yeah, it's tricky. Has
anybody mentioned that we're talking about the Ryder Cup captaincy at Bethpage
Yes,
there? Okay, I'd never heard that spoken. I didn't.
Thank you.
It kind of felt like y'all were talking about retirement. I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I feel like I said it in code, and if you're
We
here,
need a grown-up in the room.
if people are here right now, they know what the hell we're
That's
talking
true.
about.
That's true. 2 hours in.
Yes.
Shots fired.
All right, we're getting to the end here. The one tricky thing about it is, are you upstaging your major to make an announcement about something that is 18 months away? To me, you're not. It's your other crown jewel. It's him. It's like, what a better way to kick off the week than that?
Yeah,
I think it's possible.
And it's time. I mean, Luke Donald's been named captain
Sure.
for a while. It's a long process of being a captain. It's time to have the captain.
The only reason we haven't is because he hasn't decided. That's the answer.
I think Johnson just decommitted from the U.S. Open preview show if you don't make a pick for the PGA Championship.
Yes, he's got to go. He got home late. It's Scheffler. I love you overthinkers. It's fun. It's clever. I'll tell you what's going to Pinehurst. The Scheffler effing freight train is going to Pinehurst, is what's going there.
I was on it with you, and if he wasn't having a baby, I would be.
His wife's having the baby. If he was, I wouldn't pick him. With that, for Brendon DeYoung, Johnson Wagner, Taylor Zarzour, I'm Gary Williams. Enjoy the PGA Championship at Valhalla. See you, folks.